Hi, hello everybody. I thought I'd start the process of the fabric journal that I've done. I am going to do it slightly different. I'm going to do it how my sister done it instead of in one piece, because I done like about 6 of these, I think, something like that. That size, only because I done it with, heat and bond, and I stuck the heat and bond on, and then I ironed it, and then I sewed all around. So, but we don't need to do that. So I'm going to do it as my sister done it, okay, which is with these cotton fabric. All right, bed sheets, anything like that. Oh, I have one here. Yeah, that's a bed sheet, an old one, and that was just some scrap fabric I had. It's very thin, all of it. All right, and I'm going to do 9 of these, and I'm going to cover them similar to that, okay, because this doesn't matter what it's like, okay, but I'm going to do it on that side just in case that does show through on that bit, because this does not matter what it's like because you end up covering this. All right, so I'm doing 9, and I think I've done them around 12, 13, 14 inches, something like that, by 4ish, yeah. And I think that'll work out that so that we can do the pages with them and tags and pockets and everything, okay. I think Janet only done 8, but I'm going to do 9 because I want 1 spare, because that's me, just in case anything goes wrong or whatever. And because I'm using the same sort of colour palette, then I'll do it all together at the same time. I'll go back right to the beginning because I forgot again to tell you. I get all my fabrics because somebody was saying, oh, how do you get it so soft and feminine? Well, I don't actually know how that happened, okay, because all I done was put loads of fabric in this basket, but I try to get like a bit of a colour tone going through. This is going to be what I'm going to sew the signatures onto, so I will use some of that in the journal. All right, so whatever I sew my signature onto, and it's best if it's lines when you first start doing this, because you can sew your signatures on these lines and it gives you a guide, all right, which makes life so much easier, because I did find sewing in the signatures a little bit difficult because I actually cut that a little bit too short. That was my only problem, all right, which I won't do it this time. Like I say, it was a learning curve. So anyway, so what I've done, I'm doing, it's all scrap fabric, it's all bits of net, there's all bits of lace and bits of dresses, and I've got this, which I thought was lovely, so I'm going to incorporate that because I was sort of thinking of spring. So that's, where I'm going to cut some of that up in little squares and put with my snippets. Yeah, because I think this is lovely. That would be a nice inside cover, actually, thinking about it. Yeah, I might use that instead on the inside, because I can literally sew down, sew onto those lines, which will give me a guide. I think I'm going to do that instead. So what I do, take this away. I'm not using that now. So that all goes. It's just an odd bit of fabric, look. Looks like a part of a jumper or something. Yeah. So that all goes nicely, and so that's my colour scheme I'm doing on this one. And then later on you can add a pop of colour with something else. I really like that though. So it's got a bit of pink in, so no, I will do that. We do see pink in spring, don't we? The flowers and that. So I think, I like that. So a little bit more green. So that's what I do. Grey. It's all muted tones. It's all toned down. And that is all going to be my base. Right, so I take little bits of this fabric, and because I actually haven't got many snippets left because I use them. I've got a lot of lace snippets, which is there. So I shall be using bits of this as well. But again, it's all done in the same, if you look, same colour palette. Anything that doesn't really go, I take away. Alright, even a bit of, you know, yes, white will go. You don't have to use white though, but it's all there. So, thank you, Edwina, for all the snippets. I'm not saying these are all hers that I got off her, but there's quite a few in there that was, and in my other journal. I did forget to mention that, and wasn't meant, because I was very grateful for them. Okay, so that's where I begin. So I'm going to get one of these and start to cover it. All right, with snippets and bits and pieces. I won't use anything like that yet, because those sort of things go on my top layer, the same as that sort of thing. I wouldn't use any of that, okay, because I've just emptied bits and pieces in here. You definitely use some of that, and I won't use that until after and all that. Yeah. So that's where I begin. Let's have a look now. I need some this fabric. So I'll just, if I haven't got, you know, much snippet of this colour, then I will make some. Because again, this is just an odd bit of fabric, so. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and just rip up some of the fabric that I want, especially from this. Okay, and then I'll be back in a minute. Right, I'll show you how I done the first one, because I've got a bit of it left. I put the bonded web, just ironed it on. Okay, I've done it together because that's what determined the height of my journal, because that was the size of the paper. But because I'm doing it in strips, I've just ironed it on and then cut it down the middle, and that's all I had left. So that will be fine. And then I'll show you how I've done it with this. Let me just peel off that. I'm sure this can be used for something. I think that'd be quite nice. And there we are. And then you just start laying down. Let's have a look. It's nice to have some colour underneath. Like that, but I'm going to do it that way, so it fills in that hole. Like that. So we've got that sort of thing going on, and you just build it up a bit more. Oh, I want some play. Oh, that'd be quite nice, I think. Oh, it's very similar to Nick the Booksmith's one. Because she done her snippet roll like this, but in big piece, and then she cut it down and stitched it together. Brilliant. So the sort of like, it's a bit similar to that really. So I just sort of lay everything. I know this won't stick, so, you know, won't stick, but it's just getting the sort of idea of what I want. Like that. We need some lace. Building up there. I need a bit of colour under there. I've got these squares that have been hanging around for ages. And because they're quite strong colours, with the lace over the top, that will, if there's any holes like this afterwards, that's where you can put an embellishment or something like that, because I don't worry too much about it. You know, we could have that, but that won't stick there for now, so I'm going to, so I like these. A little bit up there. I might put that there. That won't, most probably won't stick because there's not much of an area there. Right, so I'm going to iron that, and then I'll pin down the top ones after, and then put it through and just sew all around it. Right, I'm just going to get, what do I need? Oh, I just want that shut together there. Just want a bit of that just to cover that hole. I mean, there's another hole here, but I'm not going to worry about that till after. There, right, damp cloth now, and then iron as much of that as we can. Okay. Start that off. I had to wait for the iron to heat up. All right, see what. So I wasn't very successful with this, I must say. So, but first time I'd ever used it when I done my fabric journal. So I think I'm doing something wrong. It didn't really stick. So I thought, actually, I'm not going to bother this time. But it's handy for gluing now. Some of it sticks and some doesn't. So that's not too bad. But you sewers out there, sorry. And I'm a left-handed ironer as well, which is annoying because I plug it into the right. I mean, I know that top layer wouldn't stick anyway, so let's get the damp bit. And this is only the first layer. Okay, right, you either pin that now. I'm going to trim that off a bit, move that out of the way. Too much there. And then I'll trim off other bits as well after, and then I'll put them back into my pile and reuse them. So some of it, actually, I'm going to leave it alone and just pin it because I can stitch it. That's what I was doing last time. I found it a lot easier. I just ironed it actually flat and then pinned it. I don't think I've ever pinned anything in my life. I actually didn't have any pins. How sad is that? It's like, I raided my daughter's sewing kit. I did used to do embroidery, but I don't think I had pins then either. Right, I think I'm going to get away with that. I think I'll take it to the sewing machine and just crazy stitch around. Because I think that's all laying down quite nicely. It's just a bit there that could do with sticking down a bit more in the middle. Okay, no, I'm just going to go and stitch it. I'll just pin that bit there. See how, oh, I'm really nervous about doing this one. It's because I'm not really familiar with fabric. Okay, there. Right, so all you people that really want to do one because I am really nervous around fabric. Right, I'm just going to stitch around now and everything, and I'll come back. Right, I've gone ahead and stitched around all over that, and I felt as though that was a little bit too dark if you look here, so I've just put a bit of sheer net over the top. Let's see, there we go. All right, just to dull that down. All right, so you can put lace hanging over and everything, and or trim it off, it's up to you, but I've trimmed mine back a little bit, okay, because I will add lace and everything later on. All right, but I do 8, 9 of these. All right, and then we'll go from there. So if you go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will be back. Right, so I've done mine. I've done 9 of mine, all mismatched. All right, not worried what it looks like. Just go and have some fun with some snippets of fabric. All right, there we go. That's all I've done. Because these will all change, or they're used for pockets and tags and filling in different areas. Okay, then go and work out what size journal you want, where I've done the cover 8 by nearly 14. All right, and then I found, sorry, that went a bit wrong there. I don't know why, but just did. So we'll cover that up. It's no problem. So I usually find the center, because we want a 2-inch spine. Yeah, so you find the center, draw down the line, and then draw down another line there, and this will all be covered as well, so I'm not worried about that. You don't see any of that, but it's a good guide. All right, because I'm literally going to cover that. So that was about 14 by 8. All right, and then come in 1/2 inch on your pages. A minute. And you need to do, all right, so that's, I've come in 1/2 inch, so that leaves 1/4 inch each side, and then about the same on the width. All right, so there's a little gap here, it's about 1/4 inch. And it's the same on that one. And you need, because this bit is pocket, which I'll just go and get my journal. Right. Okay, so when you decorate one side of the page, all right, and then you decorate another one, then after you've stitched all around, that one I've left because I forgot to do it, you see, I didn't cover it. So you can see all the stitching, all right, and that one. If you look in another one, right, let's get that out. I've lined it so you can't see any of the stitching. So you literally decorate this page, then that page, which should be the other way around, and then you sandwich them together, which creates this pocket before you sew them in. All right, so that's why it sounds a bit complicated, but it really isn't once you've done it. So that'd be classed as, so 1 page, yeah. So I think you have to do 8 of these if I remember rightly. That's another page, so there's 2 there, that's 4. And then another page, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, I was 8. Then I do another page like that, and I leave it a little bit longer. So for this size journal, I will tell you how long I left it. It was about right for me. But you can always extend, if you leave that a bit short and it comes over, you can extend it with so 9.5. I cut that piece too, which gives quite a nice little overhang on that. All right, so you decorate the whole back of that, yeah, which that forms your envelope. Yeah, then you would line it after you've decorated it. Yeah, and then you can use a bit of snippet roll like this, okay, and you would trim down that bit, but you would put that there, and then maybe, you know, if you wanted shape, you put your shape in. I know you lose your lace, but that's just the way it goes. Or you can use somewhere that's not like that. Then you shape it down, and then you would put lace in. Yeah, and that, but then that becomes your pocket, you see, and you can line that as well. Yeah, complicated until you see me do it, but anyway, I did two of those because one one goes each side, like so. All right. I'm not saying that is the centre, but so they go there. So that was, what measurement again? 9.5, wasn't it? I found that quite good. 9.5. But again, it depends on what size journal. If you're doing a smaller journal or something like that, then you have to work accordingly. So this that bit there is the same size as the page, and then yeah, so that bit there, and then you leave a bit more so it hangs over. All right. So that's that bit. So the next bit we've got to do is work out our cover. What we're going to do with our cover, if you like. You don't worry about the inside of it, because that all gets covered up. So how we do that is we take 2 snippet rolls. Yeah. One gets put in the middle, like so. Then you cut 1 in half. You choose the best ones that look good, then you cut 1 in half, and that'll go up the top, and then the other piece of it goes down the bottom. That's a tad short, so we won't be using that one. So, do you see what I mean? Which I'm going to do in front of you now. And then we cover all this with bits and pieces, which it covers it all up so you don't see it. Okay, so I've cut one piece in half, and I'm going to put one at the top there, like there. Okay, and I think I'll use that bit, there's a bit of trim. Yeah, I quite like that. And it, because it covers the whole top as well. Then the other half down here, it doesn't matter because you can add things to that. All right, and then I've chosen this one to go down in there. I think once that's stitched down, that's going to look quite nice. And the best thing to do is cover up one side. And you think, oh, do I like that as a cover? Right? So you're only seeing that part there. Yeah, and then that's your cover. But it's, you know, it's crazy. But once you start putting sort of flowers on and things like that, it seems to work. It's really weird. And I quite like that one. So that's what I'm going to do. So once you've done that, I just add a little bit of glue. Only dots of it. Okay, and then I'll stitch around. Okay, I'll stitch over here. I won't add anything else until I'll stitch this on, stitch all around the outside and stitch that on. And then I might add just a few elements just to sort of bring it together, really. I think I like that one. I might try another one. Let's have a look. And I quite like this one, but I think it's a bit short. Yeah, that's quite nice. It's quite spring-like, that one, isn't it? I could add a bit in there, actually, because I do really like that one. And I think once that's stitched down, it could look quite good. Or I could just add a little piece in there, which that's quite nice. So it's just a little bit short, that one, and yet I really like that. Can't see. Let's have a look. Oh, that was quite nice. That's the one I used though, wasn't it? Yeah, so that's what you've got to decide. That's one of the hardest pieces, right? Things that you've got to do. Let's go on that one. Let's have a look at this one. That's a maybe. Then I'll add a bit at the end. That's no problem. This is a tad short. That's quite nice too, actually. That's quite spring-like. Let's have a look. This time you add a bit of lay. Oh, I quite like that. I think we're all right. So what I'm going to do here on the edge is just a tad short. Is I'll just add a little bit of lace underneath there. Okay, I've gone back to my original idea. Now, what it was, my snippets were a little bit shorter because I was going to do a smaller journal and then I decided not to. So I did do a couple of large ones in case I did change my mind. So I'm going to have to use them. So it will work when I do it. It's fine. So I'm going to go ahead now and stitch all the way around. But I'm going to glue it down because I'm going to do it that side. All right, so I can see what I'm doing and where to stitch. All right, so glue first, just tack it down, bit of Fabri-Tac or something. You can pin it. I'm going to glue. So I'm better with glue than I am with pins, that's for sure. And yes, there's patches here, but it doesn't matter. Fill that in after. That's what makes it totally unique. Right, and stitch that now on the wrong side. There. Okay. Well, I'll wait for the glue to dry and then do it. No, that, oh no, you can see it, but that go, you cover that anyway. Okay, I'm going to do that. Oh, I don't like that, the way that's dropped down there. Never mind, let's have a look. See if I like it. So it's going to really annoy me. I expect so. Okay, I'm going to sort that out now, I think. I'm going to most probably put a little tuck in it like that. Okay, so because I that will really annoy me, but I have to stitch that first, which I will go and do, and then I'll stitch all around like I said I was going to do. Okay, that's all been stitched around. Okay, and then we stitch from this side, right? And any bits that you feel there's, you know, little holes, because I haven't stitched this down yet. All right, just fill in. Like there was a little bit of a gap there, so I put that there. Okay, and I'll most probably might incorporate a bit of that over there as well, because in a minute when it's all done, I most probably, to tone it all down, put something like that over it. Yeah, so then you get it dulls down, mutes all the colours behind it, and then put some nice trim down the bottom, and then we can concentrate on our cover. You know, this is too big for the front of that, but that, you know, that's going to look something smaller like that, and then some flowers and everything would look really lovely. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Oh, I love this bit of lace. I hope I got some more. It's beautiful. Anyway, there's enough to do this one. Right, so I'm going to patch up. Let's have a look. Because once you stitch it in, it all looks like it's part of it, because it all flattens down, and a bit here. Put that in there. And I'm going to put that there. A little bit here as well, I think. Mad, isn't it? And then you go stitch around it, then you might find other places that you need something, so just go ahead and do that, or just shove some threads in. I wish I could show you how to actually stitch it on the sewing machine, but there's no way I could get my iPad in that. So let's cut a bit off of that. It's a little bit too thick, that one. I could do with some more threads like that, really. Yep. This is, I love it, because you just don't know how it's going to turn out. Not your typical fabric journal. Right, that'll be all right for a minute until I've had another look. So I'm going to go now and stitch over all these pieces here and, you know, different areas. All right, not worry too much about the stitching, because it's, again, going to be covered over. All right. Right, here you go. Okay, I filled in a little bit, places that I felt there was a little hole and things like that. All right, and you might be able to see stitching there. See, just crazy. Just go and have fun. All right, and you can do that with all your bits and pieces. Yeah, and I quite like that. Once I put my lace over the top, which you're going to, do I decide now? No, it doesn't matter actually, because I'm not sure which way I want it. I know that's going to go sort of like that there, then that's going to tone all that down. I'm quite like that. Okay, but I'm not sure whether that's going to be my front, yeah, or which that's going to be at the bottom, and then I put lace at the top. So we'll have to think, won't I? Or that, which I could, because that could be my overhang there, and then all I need to do is get a bit of net to go on there. Don't forget the spine, you know, it's not as wide as that. It looks wide at the minute, but it's not, because an inch of that is the spine. I quite like that side. Let's have another look. And that will be the back. Yeah, that lends itself to the front really, because I'm going to use an image or something on the front. Yeah, have to trim. I would trim that bit of lace off though, because I want to add a full piece right down the edge there. Yeah, and then that could definitely come over the edge there, because that's quite pretty, isn't it? Up there, like that. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I've decided, I made a decision. Okay, so what you've got to do now is just work that out. So that's quite nice and straight. And then I'm going to just glue it a little bit in different areas. Just dot it around, not much glue at all. Just definitely the corners, just so I can get that straight. Yeah. And then just dot around. And I can at least give it a bit of tension. And that can dry while I have my lunch. So I'm not too worried about it. I'll just do a little bit of an overhang just in case. And that bit there, oh, that's lovely. I might use that somewhere else. Down here. That's what I'm going to do for now. Right, I'm going to turn it over to make sure that's okay there. Oh, phone's busy today. Okay, right, so I'm going to leave that to dry, and then we'll sort down the bottom out after. That's not a problem. Okay, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I've stitched around that. I haven't trimmed that yet, that side, but I've trimmed that side because I'm most probably, you know, going to add something else there. So all you've got to do is just trim up nice and neat. So these scissors aren't the sharpest, but like that. Okay, I'm just going to have a look. I might. No, I'll leave that for now because I'm not sure. Right, what I'm going to do next, which I like, is I'm going to stitch just down there, okay? Because I feel that that just gives this a bit of support here for now, and also I've got a nice stitch guide to work on later on. Okay, I've stitched all that. All right, those three there, and now what I'm going to do is just fill in where I've got no net down the bottom, because you don't see your stitches. All right, I'm not going to worry about stitching through any of these at the moment because I'll be putting things on the front. Okay, but if I don't put anything on the back, but I most probably will, if I don't, I would just sort of try and stitch in that shape, you know, going around. Not too much because I'm not good enough for that, but you just don't see it. So, and then I'm going to fill in here as well. I think I'll go up that way, and just to cover that over. Again, use a bit of glue to fill in. Just a bit here and there, just cut the dobs. Right, let's have that flower. It's going to put him on the front, I think. Because he's a bit cut off, I was going to put him down there like that. There. And you really don't see it. And then stitch that on. Okay, which I'm going to go and do that, and then that's all but done, really. There, and who would know that was patched up at the bottom? Okay. Alright, can't see it at all. Right, now the next thing I do, because sometimes I forget, so I do this now, is I'll stitch this in. Some people, I think my sister done it that way, she stitched it across there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, it's enough if I stitch it, just because I haven't got a lot of this left, so I didn't want to put it right the way through the book. So, and also you got these joins in this sari silk, and I always find that, I can guarantee, you know, you just need that extra bit of length. So I'm going to just stitch this in like that on one side there. I'll stitch it with a bit of overhang there, and then I'll trim off after. All right. I mark the centre, and then I slightly go up a bit, just in case you come down, because it's always better if you're slightly higher than lower, because when things are too low down here, it looks like it's falling away. It looks a bit weird. So always higher doesn't look so bad if you can't get centre. All right. So I'll do that, which 8 should be 4, shouldn't it? The thing is, you got to take into consideration the lace sometimes as well, but we've got lace going on at the top, so yeah, I'm still going to do 4. 4 from the top will be fine. And my pencil is there, and then do exactly the same this side, just there. See how I get little bits that follow me around. How unusual. Need a longer ruler to check. I think it looks alright. Oh, that's funny. Right, so I'm going to stitch that on while I'm here. Alright, let's cut that off. Let's trim that off. It's so nice doing this because you don't have to be precise at all. Right, so that's the cover sort of, well, it's not finished, but the base is all done, okay? Because some like covers and things like that, I tend to sort of like just leave it alone for a bit, and then I come back to it and see, you know, where I want to place things. You know, I'm not sure yet, but that's the basis of everything done. Okay, which will sit in there like that. Okay, and everything. Oh, the beginnings of a new one. I get quite excited. Oh dear. But anyway, so that's the lesson, not lesson. Oh gosh, I sound like a school teacher now. That's the process of how I do that bit. Okay, so I'm now going to do the pages next. All right, and we'll get on with those. So we'll leave the cover alone now, for now, and then, you know, I might now and again flit into the cover and because I found something, or I might pin it in place and then show you all at once. It might be better because I do flit around a bit, I'm afraid, but that's the way I work. So as things sort of come to me, and I never do the cover totally until I sort of get the feel of the book and see what's going on. So I'm not sure what images I'm going to use or anything yet. So I'm just going to do the pages. So I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.